Welcome to English with Abby and Torai. I'm Abby, and welcome to day 2 of our course called Level Up Your English, which is all about helping take your English to the next level. Today, we will be talking about pronunciation hacks, specifically how to sound more like a native speaker in your speaking of English. Before we start with this, I want to say that in the description of the course, there is a pre-test you can take, and this pre-test will show you what you already know before starting the course. And then as you are going through each video, you can see what you learn and how you grow and how your English gets better. There's also a worksheet that goes along with this video, which you can find in this video's description. This worksheet will cover what we talk about in this class and will be a good test for you to test what you learned throughout this video. There's also an answer key as well, so you can see what you got right and what you got wrong. So, like I said, today we will talk about key English pronunciation hacks. And so, ways to sound more like a native speaker, ways to pronounce words and sentences and phrases in English that are more like a native speaker. And so, there are 6 different things we will talk about. The first one is word and sentence stress. So, where to put the stress on different words in sentences. Linking sounds, how to link sounds together in words, depending on if you're just saying the one word or if you're saying the whole sentence. And then weak forms of words in sentences, when to not stress a word. And then we'll talk about common minimal pairs. Common minimal pairs are words that have one sound that is different between them. And then we will talk about ending sounds in English and how important ending sounds are in your pronunciation. And then finally, we will talk about mouth position and intonation. We'll talk about mouth position and intonation in the English language. The first tip to make your pronunciation sound better and more confident and more like a native English speaker is to focus on word and sentence stress. Word and sentence stress. This means where you stress certain words or even certain syllables in words and sentences. And so it's important to know that English is a stress-timed language. And so it's important to know where to put the stress on words. You'll notice even as I'm speaking, I put more stress or more emphasis on nouns and verbs, on important words in the sentence, and less emphasis or less stress on smaller words like articles or filler words that aren't as important. And so some examples in sentences here. The first is a declarative sentence, which means it's just a sentence that's making a statement. I want to go to the store. I want to go to the store. I will read it one more time. You see if you can figure out which words are stressed in this sentence. I want to go to the store. I'll read it faster. I want to go to the store. I want to go to the store. I want to go to the store. Which words are stressed in this sentence? The first is this, the main verb, I want. I want to go to the store. And so here we have a verb, we have 2 nouns that are stressed. This is a noun because it is an infinitive verb. I want to go to the store. When I'm teaching, I speak slower, and so I emphasize more of the sounds in the sentence. But if I was just speaking normally, I wouldn't. I want to go to the store. This kind of gets cut off. I want to go to the store because there are two T's here. This one gets cut off. I want to go to the store. But we stress want, go, and store because those are the most important words in the sentence. Even though I is the subject and is also important, it isn't as stressed. I want to go to the store. And then we have prepositions and an article that are not stressed because they're just not as important. Okay, let's do another one, and I'll read it a few times. See if you can figure out where the stressed words are. Which are the stressed words? Will you please come over tonight? Will you please come over tonight? Will you please come over tonight? I'll read it a little bit faster. Will you please come over tonight? Will you please come over tonight? Will you please come over tonight? This is a question, so the stress is a little bit different. You'll notice we stress the first word, will you please come over tonight? And then we don't stress you being the subject of the sentence, but we stress will, which is the verb. Will you please? Please also gets stressed. Will you please come over tonight? Will you please come over tonight? And so because it's a question, the last word doesn't get as much stress. Will you please come over tonight? Will you please come over tonight? Will you please come over tonight? And so these are the words that are stressed in this sentence. The next pronunciation hack to help your English sound more like a native speaker is thinking about linking sounds together. You link sounds together when we speak in English. And so sometimes, like in the last example I gave, the T from want connected to the T in the next word too. I want to go to the store. I want to go. So I don't say I want to go. When it flows all together, the sound links. I want to go to the store. And that usually is the case if there is the same ending sound and the same beginning sound in the next word, that it would just kind of all connect together. So, like it says here, words connect in natural speech. The sound in words connect as you are speaking. I am enunciating my words a lot more clearly because I'm teaching and want you to understand. But when I speak in normal everyday life, all of my ending sounds are not as clear and they connect to the next word. So some examples would be like in this sentence, what are you doing? What are you doing? When I say it in everyday life, it doesn't sound like this. I would say, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so here, these two words kind of connect together. What are you doing? And it doesn't sound like there's any space between the words, but especially between what and are. What are you doing? Sometimes someone in English might say, what you doing? What you doing? I don't tend to speak that way, but it could be another way of saying this sentence. But I just connect these two words. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then another example is with this phrase, turn off. Turn off. And this one is interesting because when you say it, it almost sounds like the N moves to the word off. Turn off. Turn off. Turn off. I don't say turn off. Turn off. Can you turn off the TV? Can you turn off the car? Can you turn off the radio? And so it almost sounds like the N connects to off, turn off. The third pronunciation hack to help take your English to the next level is knowing weak forms of words, which means that unstressed words like and, to, of, those smaller words and sentences that are not as important, like we talked about in the first tip, are often reduced, which means you don't hear them, or you maybe take them out of the sentence altogether when you're speaking. For example, I want to go. I want to go. Even when I say it like that, the to is almost gone. I want to go. It sounds more like it's connected to the want. I want to go. I don't repeat the T. I want to go. Instead, I say, I want to go. And so it sounds like there's almost just one T sound, but then the to here is almost gone altogether. I want to go. If I was saying this just in normal everyday life and I said, oh, I want to go, in that case, you don't really hear the T at all, and you more hear something like this, I want to go. I want to go, and it sounds more like just the N sound, and the T is taken out altogether, which is okay. The meaning of the sentence still comes across, and the to is basically just gone. I want to go. The I is also very, very quiet and almost reduced. I want to go. It's a very short sound at the very beginning of the sentence. I want to go. The fifth pronunciation hack to taking your English to the next level is common minimal pairs and understanding what common minimal pairs are and pronouncing them correctly. Common minimal pairs are words, two words, that are separated by one sound difference. They have one sound in the word that is different. Sometimes it is in the middle of the word, sometimes the beginning of the word, and sometimes at the end of the word. These words are really important to know and understand and practice pronouncing them and also hearing them, because I think in listening especially, these words can be tricky to understand what someone is saying, which of course would mess up the whole understanding of what they're talking about. So the first two words are ship and sheep. Ship, sheep. So these two words, the one sound that is different is the middle sound. So here we have a short I sound, ship, ship, and here we have a long E sound, sheep, sheep. So the one sound that is different is the middle sound. It can sound similar and it's tricky, so it's important to practice listening and hearing these words and then also speaking them, especially with your mouth, the way your mouth is formed when you're saying these words. Ship, sheep, ship, sheep, because they are very different and mean very different things. The next two, thin, sin, thin, sin. So here, the one sound that is different is the beginning sound. Right here, we have a TH. TH says, and we have an S saying S, of course. So we have thin and sin. Thin, sin. The final two words are bat and bad. Bat and bad. And here, the final sound is the different sound, bat and bad. And so with both of these words, it's important to enunciate the ending sound to differentiate or tell which word you're talking about. Bat and bad. And my mistake, I meant this is the fourth pronunciation hack, and we will move on to the fifth. The fifth pronunciation hack that we will talk about to take your English to the next level is about ending sounds, and don't drop final consonants in ending sounds. Consonants are sounds that are not a vowel. Consonants are sounds that are not a vowel. And so vowels are A, E, I, O, and U. A, E, I, O, and U. those sounds are vowel sounds. So here it says, don't drop final consonants, that final consonant sound, any sound that is not a vowel. And so we do this because final sounds help link to the next word. Like I said before in the sentence, like I want to go, sometimes the final consonant sound will get changed a little bit or it will connect to the next word, especially if those words have the same sound. I want to go to the store. In that case, the T connects. I want to go to the store. So here are some examples of words that we don't want to drop the final consonant sound, like walk or walked or helped or runs. And we don't want to drop these final consonant sounds because they help to link to the next word. Like if we use the word runs and we say she runs every day. She runs every day. In that sentence, we could not drop that consonant sound. She run every day. There's nowhere for the S to go, and so then it would not make grammatical sense. She runs every day. Or if we use just walk in the present tense, you could say, I walk to school on Mondays. I walk to school on Mondays. Or yesterday I walked to the park. Yesterday I walked to the park. So even in that sentence, I walked to the park, I would finish the sound, and in this case, the ending of walked is a D, but it sounds like a T. Same with helped. If you'll notice, the D sounds like a T. And so yesterday I walked to the store. I finish this word before going to the next word. And so it is important to not drop your final consonant sounds. The sixth and final pronunciation hack to take your English to the next level is thinking about mouth position and intonation. Mouth position and intonation. The way your mouth is and moves when you are speaking English and the muscles that you use are very important to think about. And so one way to help with that is to use a mirror to practice sounds. Use a mirror to practice sounds. You will use different muscles, and so it's helpful to watch yourself speak in English and notice which mouth muscles you use. Think about the way your tongue is shaped with certain sounds. Like for example, TH, your tongue comes forward to make the sound. Or with an R, I think R is the hardest sound to make for non-native English speakers. For English learners, R is a very difficult sound. Even for children who are native speakers and are learning how to speak, R, I think, is the last sound that they learn because your tongue has to pull back in your mouth to make that R sound. Even when I say it now, my tongue pulls back R, R, R. And that is a very difficult sound to make. Even in this word mirror, mirror, there are two R sounds next to each other, and that's tricky. Mirror. And so my tongue pulls back twice. Mirror. And so practicing that too, practicing the R sound, practicing the TH sound, just speaking in English and practicing as you use a mirror will help your pronunciation get better. And then also listening to intonation. Intonation is the way my voice rises and falls as I'm speaking. You can hear it go up and down as I speak. And so listening to the rise and fall in your tone, specifically when asking questions. Think about how yes or no questions usually rise and WH questions usually fall. We say this word usually because it is not always, but usually. The yes or no questions rise and WH questions fall. I hope that this has been helpful for you in knowing new pronunciation hacks or reviewing pronunciation hacks that you already know, and that your pronunciation will get better, that you will use these tips to help you practice and sound more like a native speaker. Remember, there is a PDF in the description that you can use to practice these tips that we have talked about. And be sure to comment with which one you would like to try. And if you do, let us know if it improves your English.